OK, we've got some serious problems with the new Labor government, haven't we? They've been in power now for almost 6 months. They've had a jobs summit talk fest. A whole mob of their ministers have done a lot of overseas travel. And they've handed down a budget that did nothing but fess up to just how bad things are looking. Their promise to increase wages has been broken. The budget said they'll keep going backwards in real terms for the foreseeable future. Their promise to cut power prices had already been shattered. They've gone up instead, but the budget says they'll just keep going up. And Labor haven't done anything except announce plans that will just make all this worse, of course. Their laws to boost union power won't increase wages. They'll just stifle productivity. And their plans to massively boost spending on renewables won't lower power prices. They'll only increase them as we're forced to pay for the new investments. And Labor are increasingly desperate in blaming others.
I think we have crossed a threshold where everybody in our cabinet, and I think most people in the Australian community, accept that when this is driven by a war, when the prices are expected to become so extraordinarily high that they risk strangling industries, then we need to do something about it.
Look, no one's going to deny the Russian invasion of Ukraine has had an impact on gas prices, but it's not the main problem. It's nowhere near the main problem in Australia. Our problem has been shutting down coal and gas generation, favouring renewables to such an extent that gas generators can't enter into long-term cheap gas contracts, and most importantly, blocking the development of new gas projects in Victoria, in South Australia, in New South Wales, and they're trying elsewhere. Governments love blocking gas projects to try to please the greenies. But now they know that greater supplies would lower prices. So instead of facing that reality, they try to blame Vladimir Putin. This is a tragedy for this energy-rich nation where we've made ourselves deliberately energy poor. The Prime Minister is now pretending that he's not only got, but he's delivering all the answers.
We confronted, when we came to office, a circumstance where some were saying that the lights wouldn't stay on over June, July. We fixed that. We then confronted a supply issue in gas. We fixed that as well. What we need to do now is to make sure that we address the issue of price. The government has said we're examining all of the options and we'll continue to do so.
What a load of rot, eh? He's fixed the supply problem in electricity. Remember that when we have greenouts or blackouts over the summer. He's fixed the gas supply problem. Now he's just got to deal with prices. The two, of course, are directly linked. Now, in the same press conference, he boasted that Labor keeps its promises. Where's the self-awareness here? Albanese has done 4/5 of bugger all, and there are no answers in play, except, of course, promises to spend tens of billions more of your money on more renewable energy projects. That is intermittent power with no way to store it, no way to firm it up, and more costs. What genius. All this is done, of course, to please the United Nations, the Green Left, and the climate zealots. And our climate minister is off to Egypt now for the latest UN climate meeting, one of these conferences of the parties or COP meetings, where countries, including Australia, now routinely turn up to spout the slogans and make our emissions reductions pledges. But have a listen to teenage activist Greta Thunberg. Even she can see this is more spin than substance. And she makes it clear the activists will never be happy anyway.
The COPs are mainly being used as an opportunity for leaders and people in power to get attention when they say, oh, we're gonna change, and I mean using many different kinds of greenwashing, lying and cheating and so on. So as it is now, the COPs are not really going to lead to any major changes, unless, of course, we use them as an opportunity to mobilize, which we must try to do, and make people realize what a scam this is, and realize that these systems are failing us, and we need to wake up and realize that.
Yeah, go Greta. Hey, the cops are now just a great venue for protests, for protesting and activists to draw attention to all this. Yes, Greta, it is a scam. The cop agenda is a scam. It's virtue signalling. And it's doing a lot of damage to people right around the world. And Australia is now fully signed up to it. And they do it all to try to placate people like her, people like Greta Thunberg. But Greta and her ilk are way too savvy for them, aren't they? They won't be placated. They can't accept anything the politicians promise because without objections, without protests and alarmism, what would they have left? What would they do? Get an education? Get a job? What a circus. Meanwhile, our communities and our families suffer. Our economy weakens and our companies struggle. While China faces no such burden, they just get stronger and stronger. I'm still waiting for Greta's speaking tour of China. I'd love to see her visit the country. That is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases by far, and which is still increasing them, of course. Greta and her mob have a problem with capitalism. I'd love to see her go and lecture the communists in Beijing.